Shalom, everyone, from the H. Thornhill Community Shul. Shalom, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Rothman, and all the wonderful congregants. It's a pleasure to share some Torah with you, and especially for this week's Parsha, Parshas Toldot. Toldot is an incredible story. One of the aspects of Torah that I love so much is the storytelling. The Torah is filled with incredible stories, and I'm purposely using that word story because they're great stories for children. And when my son comes home from grade 1, Kita Aleph, and we go over Yitzchak and Yaakov and the brothers and Esav, and it's like this is quality stories for kindergarten, but at the same time, rabbinic scholars, seniors who've learned this parsha year after year are finding profound wisdom in their old age, in their life experience from the same stories that they learned when they were 4 and 5 years old. And Parshas Toldot really is one of those great stories that captures wisdom for all ages. This Devar Torah is in memory of Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, who sadly left this world. I can talk about him, and there's just not enough time to. I'm sure we've all heard all the eulogies, but he really, in my opinion, was the chief rabbi of the world, not just the Commonwealth. And he left this world too soon. And it's been an emotional roller coaster for me. I didn't know him personally. I had met him a few times in his home in London, which was something I will cherish. Also in Jerusalem, hearing the most inspirational talks ever. When I was a yeshiva student, many of my friends were close to him. And it's such a painful loss. I want to turn that grief, though, into inspiration. And I'm going to teach from Covenant and Conversation 5771. None of these ideas are my own. It's all entirely Rabbi Sacks. And this is from a friend of mine, Sam Liebens, who's in Israel, who's a student of his and wrote a eulogy for him last week. He said, if you ever had the privilege to sit in a shul or a classroom or an auditorium filled to the brim with people eager to hear the words of Rabbi Sacks, then you knew what Malchut really is. Rabbi Sacks would stand up and speak there. It's a hush of anticipation. Friends, let me share with you a bit of Torah. These words would take me back. There could have been 1,000 people in the room. When Rabbi Sacks approached the podium, the anticipation would be thick in the air. You could have heard a pin drop, and then as he spoke, the world would become a little brighter. Hope became more real. God came closer, and life had more meaning. So Rabbi Sacks teaches, and he asks the question, why did Yitzchak love Esav? As it says in the beginning of the Parsha, V'gdelu ha'na'arim, v'yehu Esav ish yodea tzayid ish sadeh, v'Yaakov ish tam yoshev ohalim. The boys grew up, Esav became a skillful hunter, a man of the outdoors, and Yaakov was a mild man who stayed in the camp. V'yahov Yitzchak et Esav, ki tzayid b'piv, v'Rivka ohevet et Yaakov. Isaac favored Esav because he had a taste for game, but Rivka favored Yaakov. We could understand that Rivka loved Yaakov. After all, she received the prophecy when she was pregnant, and she understood. But how is it, how could it be that Yitzchak loved Esav? I mean, this troubles so many of Mefarshim for thousands of years. I'm so excited to share with you Rabbi Sacks' brilliant chidush on this idea. So stay tuned. So the classic answer, Rashi quotes over there, and he says, Yadat Said, Latsud l'ramot et aviv b'piv, v'shoalo abba, heach masrin et hamelach, v'etateven, kasavur aviv, shehu medakdek b'mitzvot. So just like he was a hunter, he also would trap. He would trap animals, but Rashi says he would also trap Yitzchak, his father, with words, and he would be misleading and sneaky, and he would act as though his poor blind father wouldn't realize. He would act as though he was interested in mitzvot and whatnot, but really he was deceiving his own father. The Midrashic explanation is that this was an entrapment in the mouth of Esav. He trapped his father and deceived him with his words. The Maggid of Dubno, who was one of the Vilna Gaon's very few close friends, the Vilna Gaon who spent his lifetime studying and learning Torah and had a few people come into his private home, the Dubno Maggid was one of those few people, and he taught Torah through Mashalim. And here, the Maggid of Dubno, he says, well, you know what? Why was it Isaac who was deceived, but not Rivka? You see, look at the way they grew up. Rivka grew up with Lavan. She understood what a dishonest person is like. She knew deception when she saw it. Whereas Yitzchak, he was Tamim, right? He grew up with Avraham and Sarah. So he didn't know, he only knew honesty and emet, and therefore he was easily deceived. Rabbi Sachs, in his typical way, would always quote, he not only knew Torah, but he studied and read books in every possible field imaginable. He embodied Torah and Chokhmah. And here in this parsha, he quotes Bertrand Russell, who once commented on the philosopher G.E. Moore that he only once heard Moore tell a lie when he asked Moore if he had ever told a lie, and Moore replied, yes. So the classic answer is that Isaac loved Esav because he simply did not know who or what Esav was. But Rabbi Sachs says there is another possible answer. This is his chidush, that Isaac loved Esav precisely because he did know what Esav was. Avram Yitzchak HaKohen Cook, the first chief rabbi of Israel, tells a story that somebody came along and he said that his son was given a good Jewish education. They kept the mitzvot at home, a nice traditional family. However, the son drifted apart. He went off the derech. He no longer kept the mitzvot. He didn't even identify as a Jew. And the father came crying to Rav Kook. So Rav Kook asked him, he said, did you love him when he was younger, when he was religious? Of course, replied the father. Well then, now love him even more. Sometimes love can do what rebuke cannot. It may be true that the Torah is telling us that Isaac was anything but blind to his elder son's true nature. But if you have two children, one is well behaved and the other is liable to turn out badly, to whom should he devote greater attention? Who should he spend more time with? It may be that Isaac loved Esav not blindly, but with open eyes, knowing that there would be times where his elder son would give him grief, but knowing too that the moral responsibility of parenthood demands that we do not despair of or disown a wayward son. Did Isaac's love have an effect on Esav? Well, yes and no. It's clear that there was a special bond of connection between Esav and Isaac. This we see in the following midrash. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said, no man ever honored his father as I honored my father, but I found that Esav honored his father even more. We see here that Rabbi Shimon, he sees this from the fact that usually people go and serve their parents, they wear ordinary clothes, right? And the best clothes they go out with. But Esav, he kept his best clothes when he would serve his father food. He had gone out hunting. That's why Yaakov was able to wear them while Esav was still out hunting. We see later in the Torah that Hashem, he forbids the Israelites to wage war against Esav's descendants. Moshe is told the following. I'll read in just the English for lack of time. Charge the people as follows. You will be passing through the territory of your kinsmen, the descendants of Esav who live in Seir. They will be afraid of you. Be very careful. Do not provoke them, for I will not give you of their land so much as a foot can tread on. I've given the hill country of Seir as a possession of Esav. And then he goes on to say, do not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. The sages see these as an enduring award to Esav because he honored his father. So, was Isaac right or wrong to love Esav? Esav, he gave back the love to his father, but he still remained Esav, that hunter, the man of the field, not the man to carry forward the demanding covenant with the invisible God, and the spiritual sacrifice it called for. Not all children follow the path of their parents. It was as if Isaac's intent and Esau should do so, but he failed. There are some failures that are honorable. Rabbi Sachs concludes, loving your children, whatever they become, is one for surely. That is how Hashem loves us. Shabbat Shalom.